Hello, hello, beautiful simmer souls. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are considering the What If Vlad series that I started several weeks ago when I started remodeling Vlad's house with different themes. So we did an eco theme, we did a cat obsessed theme, and in this video, I went a little bit differently. And instead of just remodeling his actual house, I built him a whole new house in a whole new neighborhood. So we are in Henford-on-Bagley, and I thought, as I'm sure you noticed in the title, what if Vlad had a country cottage? What if he moved out to Henford-on-Bagley to live out his dream of being a farmer or a gardener or whatever? So that's where we are with this. So I'm building him a very small, quaint cottage. Nothing too fancy. It's one bedroom, one bath. It has a basement, which is Vlad's lair, I guess you could call it. Um, so I gave the house a bedroom just because I felt it needed it. I don't know, it's a house. To me, it made sense to have at least one bedroom and then for Vlad to be in the basement. So the basement, as you'll see a little bit later, does contain, things needed to house a Vlad, I guess. So it has a coffin, it has his organ, it has a couch, a fireplace, there's a bathroom down there. I kept a lot of his same items. So what I did was instead of just moving him um, out, like I sold a bunch of his stuff for the money and then I kept a bunch of his stuff. So a lot of the things in this house I used from his inventory that were in his original house. I know that makes sense, and I know that was a funny way to say that, but I'm pretty sure you follow me. So the basement has his original pipe organ, his original coffin. It has original photos. There are some original photos throughout the house as well. And then some like decorative pieces, like what are those called? It's not like I guess like a china cabinet, like those types of things. There's like a grandfather clock. There's all kinds of stuff that is original to his actual mansion, just moved into this cottage because I wanted it to be like Vlad literally was like, I am not following my purpose in life and I'm going to move. So he took a bunch of his things with him because he moved. So it's not that, it's not like in my previous ones where Vlad is like a different person overall. This is like Vlad is still himself. He just kind of, I guess, had an awakening and was like, this is not how I want to be living out my day to day life. So he chose to follow his passion. Um, it took me an excessively long time to build this house as small as it is because, as you can see, like I was going back and forth with a lot of things. I did cut a lot out because I had over 3 hours of recorded footage from building this house because I had this vision in my head, but I couldn't quite find bits and pieces in the game that fulfilled exactly what I was thinking of. So I was trying to find like substitutions as I went along. So it took me a while to figure out the exact roof I wanted. Because again, I had it pictured in my head and there's just nothing in the game that fulfilled that. Same thing with like a lot of the windows, like for a while, and I cut a lot of that out too. I went through a ton of different windows. I went through a bunch of different doors. Like I went through everything until I found exactly what I was thinking of, or at least the closest rendering to that. But I think this actually turned out pretty well. I do pop into the gallery viewer a few times just to see how it looks because I put it on the gallery and I want to make sure that it's what is seen on the gallery is a good representation of what's here because I feel like sometimes the pictures don't do that. I actually kind of wish that we could take our own pictures and put them on the gallery because if you look this house up, it's under my name, atypical underscore Lotus. You'll see that the the pictures that the game defaults to aren't a good representation of the house. Like you can barely see the inside of the house. All you can really see is the lot. Like it kind of sucks a little bit. I do include photos at the end of this. And then, of course, if you'd like to download it, as I just said, it's already on the gallery for you. Um, So yeah, the outside of the house took me a really long time to do as well because there's a lot of landscaping, a lot of landscaping. I wanted this lot to be very lush, and very beautiful. So I covered almost the whole thing with different shrubs and flowers and trees, and I wanted it to just feel really country and beautiful. Um, so that took a long time. You can see there's a jump here. I cut a lot out of this too because it took a long time. Like, I didn't know exactly what plants I wanted to use. I had to kind of play around, and then I was trying to keep it too to make it appropriate to the lot. I didn't want to mix in like a bunch of jungle plants or a bunch of like beachy plants from Sulani when like that's not the type of lot this is. So it just took me a while to piece together everything. And then I had to try and contain myself because I didn't want the entire lot to be just like lush and crazy. And because I didn't want to create a lot of like blocks for Sims to be able to navigate through. So, and I didn't want it to be too much. I think we have a good balance going on. Um, there are a few animals on the lot. So there are two barns and two chicken coops. Um, in my live game that I played, I put a cow in one, a llama in the other, which you'll see in pictures later. And then both of the chicken coops have a black hen and a black rooster because I felt the black ones were more appropriate for Vlad. Now I'm just working on the greenhouse. I only just started doing greenhouses. I used to do a lot of sunrooms, so just like rooms attached to the house that were completely glass with a roof on top. But recently, I've been wanting to do more greenhouses. It just makes more sense to me. It's a bigger space. Plants can, grow and thrive all year long. Plus, Vlad can go in there and garden to his heart's content because even though the whole thing is glass and the sun shines through there, he's protected because he's technically indoors. So that really helped out a lot for this particular vision because he can't really do a lot of outside gardening. I do add some outside plots later, like for the oversized crops or, whatever you want to put in it. But I do add those outside later. Um, but the key feature for Vlad here is really the greenhouse. I put a ton of different like little planters and stuff in there, plenty for basically like every plant you can buy from a seed packet in the game. So there's quite a lot. I also liked using this fence that came with the Cottage Living expansion. I've been dying to have like a stone fence like that for a really long time, so I wanted to use that to kind of enclose the lot a little bit. See, this is the same issue I had with like the windows and the roof. I couldn't decide exactly what I wanted because what I envisioned in my head just doesn't exist in the game. I'm sure it exists in like the realm of custom content, but I typically stay away from that, um, just so I can keep the game more, I guess, accessible to, or that my lots like more accessible to other people. Um, Sorry, I'm like stumbling all over my words today. I feel like I have a lot to say, and this build took me so long, and I'm so proud of it. I love it so much. I think it turned out really, really well. Considering, how small the actual house is. But I think it's comfy. Like it's small, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be big. Although I will admit I do have that tendency to build a little bit on the smaller side. I don't mean to. It's just that I have ADHD, and if I have to spend too much time on something, then I tend to get bored of it. And I don't just get bored of it for a little while, I get bored of it. So, like, I will put it down and it won't be done. It'll be half finished, and then it'll constantly be in the back of my head. And every time my brain wanders to it, it's going to be like this big daunting task because it's like this house is really big and you only furnished a quarter of it. You have so much more to do. And it seems like such a larger endeavor in my head than what it actually is. So that's why I tend to build on the small side. It's just so I can keep myself actively engaged because while I do really enjoy doing this, I still get bored of it. Like, um, no matter what I enjoy doing, I do get bored of it if I have to focus too much time on it or stay in one place for too long. So, even this build in particular, I started this maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I only just finished it the other day because I was like, I need to get this done. I want to get this done. I was really enjoying how it looked. Like I had done most of the outside, and then this is where I picked up on it just a few days ago. So I had done all that you had seen so far, and then decided that like now is the time. I have to do the inside. Like I had to talk myself through it and be like, okay, we'll do the inside. And then if we're feeling it, we'll go back to the outside. We don't have to finish it now. We can pick it up later. But I have this dry erase board above my computer and I've had it on like just a little bubble in there, like Vlad's cottage build. And it's just been sitting there staring at me. So I'm like, you know what? I need to get this done. I can't let ADHD get in the way of this because this is something that I was really excited about that I wanted to share with you all. I wanted to share it on the gallery. Like I've been just so excited for this. Um, but yeah, do you have ADHD? Am I alone here? Like, do any of you beautiful simmer people struggle with these same issues as I do? I was only just diagnosed last year, and I'm like a full-fledged adult. I'm in my 30s, so that was interesting. My oldest daughter actually was diagnosed with it a few years ago, and I never really knew much about it. I mean, I feel like what anybody knows about it is trouble with focus and like hyperactivity, and that's it. And that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what ADHD is and the struggles that come along with it. So as I started learning more about it for her, because she was just getting really like grumpy and she was fighting us on everything. Like getting through a school day was almost impossible. She does cyber school. Previously, she was homeschooled. Um, and it was just impossible to get through a day without fighting with her, without arguing with her, without her just having a meltdown and refusing to do anything. And she didn't want to do school. She didn't want to read. Like, she didn't want to do anything. And I was just like, what the heck is going on? Like, she's only 9 years old. Like, it's not like, people always say that teenagers are like this. And it's like, I don't know if that's true. I only know my own experience, really. But um, again, she was only 9. So um, I started learning about it. I got a book, I was reading it, I listened to a few podcasts on it. And through that, I started, learning things. And I was like, that sounds a lot like my life experience. That sounds a lot like me when I was growing up. I was very daydreamy. I was very shy. Like, I was unable to focus on things that I wasn't interested in, but if I was interested in it, I could go for hours and just, spend all of my time on it. And I would, get obsessive interests and then, start something and then stop it because I would get bored once the novelty wore off. And it was just all of these things. And I was like, that sounds a lot like me. And ADHD is, passed down. It's not something that, you just develop one day. Like if you have it, there's a good chance that one of your parents has it. And if they don't have it, it's somewhere else in your family. So I got tested for it. I say tested, but it's like, I don't know. I got diagnosed with ADHD like shortly thereafter I started learning things. And it's been a very eye-opening experience ever since. Like, and now I kind of spend my time uh, figuring out ways to manage it. Recently, I did start taking Adderall, the extended release, and that has helped. Like, I was always really iffy of medication. One of my brothers has ADHD, and I remember him as a kid. My mom, saying that his medication made him really tired and it wasn't really helpful at all. And that was an experience that I heard from a lot of people that had taken ADHD medication. They said that it didn't work for them. It made them very tired. It made them feel like a zombie or it kept them up at night. And the experience just sounded horrible, but luckily mine has not been like that. It's actually helped me a lot. So I take it when I need to get things done. Like I take it when I go to work. I take it if I'm home and I have, a list of things I want to get done, like if I want to record or edit or whatever, I'll take it to make sure that I can do that. Because for me, it doesn't hype me up. Because with ADHD, it shouldn't work like that. It's a stimulant. So a little off topic, but we'll circle back around. Um, Caffeine, for example, for somebody with ADHD tends to have the opposite effect because it's a stimulant. Like our brains don't work the same way. So a lot of people with ADHD may like self-medicate in a way with coffee because instead of coffee hyping them up and waking them up, it calms them down a little bit and allows them to focus a little bit better. And that was something that I always, before my diagnosis, I always thought that I was just like a weirdo or like there was something wrong with me because I used to drink a lot of coffee. I mean, like at least 2 to 3 cups of it a day because it helped me focus. Like it helped me calm down a little. But then it sometimes like I would get jittery, sometimes I would have trouble sleeping, but for the most part, like it really helped me clear the fog a little bit. Um, so as- Adderall does basically the same thing, but I feel better. Coffee always made me feel kind of like I don't know, iffy. Like my digestive system would get upset. Sometimes I would get nauseous. Sometimes it wouldn't even really do much for me in the way of focus. Like it was very iffy. But my experience with Adderall so far hasn't been like that. Like I feel like I can read and remember what I'm reading if even if there's noise around me. Like I can listen to the radio and read something and take in everything I've read. Normally that's not my experience. I can't read anything and comprehend it and maintain it, especially if anything is going on. So it's really helped me there. My daughter, so far, when she was diagnosed, they didn't say that she needed to be medicated, and that's fine. Like, I still feel like she does well without it. I don't feel a need to really put her on anything right now. I mean, of course, we'll always see if it's needed later, but I don't really feel like it is right now. Since I have been diagnosed and have done a lot of reading and like learned how to manage it a little bit better, it makes it easier for me to find ways to help her deal with hers. So like we schedule things a little bit differently. We give her more control with a lot of things and just kind of work with her brain in order to get things done. So since doing that, I mean, things have been so much better. Um, I'm not going to say everything is perfect. Like if I tell her to clean her room, she doesn't clean it. Like, and I get it. Her room is a mess. You can't even walk through it. I'm sure it's very overwhelming. She doesn't know where to start. She's 9. She doesn't really know how to organize things, and organizing isn't really an interest of hers. So I can see where she probably gets like task paralysis and just kind of sits around and does nothing, or she gets distracted and involved in something else, forgets to clean her room, hours go by and it's not done. So I used to give her a hard time about it when I didn't understand, but now I know better, so I don't. I'll just say something to her like, "Hey, you got to clean your room. Like maybe you could start by picking up your clothes or whatever." And I just kind of give her little like tidbits or like smaller tasks to do here and there. And that typically works well. Like if I tell her, "Hey, your room's a mess. Can you maybe pick up the clothes off of your floor and put them in her hamper?" Her hamper is right there in her room, so all she has to do is literally look for them on the floor, pick them up and put them in the hamper, and that's an easy task to carry out because she's just having to do one thing, clothes in a hamper. It's easy, it's simple. And she doesn't have a laundry list of other things that she knows are expected of her after that. So, and that really helps. And that's kind of like what I found to be like the key to managing a lot of things like that with ADHD is just keeping your to-do list fairly simple. Like personally, and I suggest to other people that have it, like I wouldn't go above like 3 tasks to a list. and I wouldn't make those three tasks anything really complicated. Um, I just do it simply. Like I may have um, task one, load the washing machine. Task two, unload the dishwasher. Task three, vacuum the living room. Like they're all very easy and straightforward. Anything else that tends to be more complicated, like clean the bathroom, would not be on the list. I would not put number one, clean the bathroom, because that in and of itself is composed of a lot of mini tasks because there's a lot that goes into cleaning a bathroom. You have to wipe down the sink, wipe down the toilet, clean the inside of the toilet. You have to clean the shower, clean the tub, clean the floor, take out the trash. Like there's a lot of these little tasks. And it's the same for cleaning any room, I guess. Like you would be vacuuming, dusting, sweeping, whatever. So for tasks like that, like clean the bathroom would just be the whole list of tasks. That would be one through three is clean the bathroom. Because then again, you would break that into mini tasks and say, okay, so number one, clean off the sink. But even then, to clean off the sink, you have to take everything off the sink and then set it aside, clean the sink, put it all back on. So like you can see how even the smallest thing can become more complicated, and that's what you have to consider when you're working within the confines of an ADHD brain is you have to consider the fact that a household task isn't just one thing. And if you yourself have ADHD or you have like a loved one or live with somebody who has ADHD and you tend to lose patience with them because they don't get like chores and stuff done and what you feel like is a timely manner. If you don't have ADHD, then just try and give them a little grace and understand that their brain works differently. They don't like we don't comprehend things the same way as somebody who is neurotypical or someone who does not have ADHD comprehends it. We can't do things the way that you do. Like the brain doesn't allow for that. It's not like wired the same way. Um, so just try and be a little bit understanding of that. It's like I hate to call it an impairment in a way because I don't think that it is. Um, but I feel like it can sound that way. It's different. It's a different way of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just kind of is what it is. Um, anyway, way off, way off on a tangent here. Um, Now we're on the one and only bedroom in Vlad's cottage. I wanted it to be very cottagey, very cute, very simple. It's the top floor. It is the only thing on the top floor. So even though there is like a section of the house next to it that's a little bit smaller, it's not connected. That section of the house is just like are they called dormers? It's just like a part of the house that has a window on it. And that's its sole purpose is to just have a window that is in the roof, basically. So this is the only thing upstairs. So that's kind of why, even though I messed with putting stairs in downstairs, I kind of favored a ladder instead because A, it took up less space, and I was struggling finding a good working layout with stairs. So the ladder gave us more space, allowed us to have a more functioning house downstairs, and really that's all that was needed because it's one room upstairs. Like and it's not even used because this is Vlad's house and he doesn't sleep upstairs in the bed. He sleeps in the basement in his coffin. So really, the bedroom is just there because it's a house and it looks nice. It makes sense for the build, I guess. Um, I had a lot of fun building Vlad's lair down here in the basement. I had kind of an idea of how I wanted it to look again, and I think it turned out really well. He doesn't need a lot down here. Vlad doesn't seem to have too many interests at the moment. He, of course, loves playing his pipe organ. And then, he reads, he tends his garden, he takes care of his animals. He does the vampire thing. He's basically living like a retired vampire life. He's out in the country just taking it easy, separating himself from Forgotten Hollow, and just like, discovering who he is and what his what his life is right now and what else he wants to do. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I think everybody deserves that opportunity, even a like historically awful vampire like Vlad. And maybe all of this, gardening and taking care of animals and just relaxing out in the country will keep him away from everybody's house. Maybe he'll stop busting in the middle of the night and drinking from Sims and interrupting their, REM sleep when they have work in the morning. Maybe he'll stop doing all that because he's preoccupied out here in the country and he's found peace and serenity and, he can be happy. Or at least that's what I tell myself anyway. I don't know. I've considered doing like a let's play with Vlad, but I don't know. It's like something I want to do, I think, because I want to play with Vlad in this new environment, but I don't know. I already started a let's play. Like I have my legacy challenge that I started not too long ago, which is the first time I've ever done something like that. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, getting pretty far. Just finished episode 6 last night, so I say it's finished, but it still needs to be edited, and we're not even there yet. Posting, I think we only have 3 episodes up on the channel right now, so I've gotten a little ahead of myself, but that's just because I'm so excited to play with these Sims with Adeline, my legacy founder. I've never played the game like that before. I mean, every time I play, I always, I create a sim, I put them usually in just like a starter house, um, and then that's it. Like, I just play. They get a job, and I play. Not sure why that paused there for a few seconds. I'm trying to remember what I was doing. I probably like answered a text or something, but um, here we go, finishing the living room area. I didn't finish it originally because I was getting frustrated. Um, I so desperately wanted to put a framed picture on the front stone of that fireplace and just couldn't figure out how to get it there. So I gave up and started doing something else and then realized that I hadn't finished it and had to come back to it. So that's what I was just doing there. And as you can see, it didn't really need much, but I was just like so over it in the moment. And I was trying to keep myself like motivated to finish this that I was like, you know what, if I keep pushing and trying to get this the way that I want it, I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to stop doing it. And who knows when I'll come back to it. So I'm just going to put this down. I'll come back to it later. And I did. So now we're doing some of the outside. I didn't include all of the landscaping that I was doing during this because, again, I mean, as you can see, it's a lot. So I didn't want to bore you with all of that. I landscaped almost every inch of this lot, and it's a very large lot. I don't remember the size. Maybe it's like, it's not a 50 by 50, I don't think, but maybe it is. I don't know. It's pretty big. It's a big lot. I mean, you've seen it. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. So I do landscape like the right-hand side of the house. I end up putting like a power generator there. I put like the rain catching thing from Eco Lifestyle there. We add like an insect box, a path going to the greenhouse, some plants and stuff out there, like just kind of making it look like more of a comfy lived in space. I love the rocks. I have a rock problem, you guys. Like once I start placing rocks, I will just put like 5 to 6 of them in one spot. Yeah, and here we go. I cut over to doing the barn enclosure. I wanted it to look like animals actually are constantly treading on the grass, so I wanted to put some of the like muddied grass there to make it look like it's been walked on, but I didn't want to leave any open corners in a lot of places because it's supposed to be lush and almost like gardeny because, this Vlad himself, you can see him. He's looking all country, like he's ready to go and get in the dirt and start, growing and gardening things. I wanted it to look like that. Henford-on-Bagley, in and of itself, is a very lush, beautiful, naturey area. So I was trying to keep it on theme with that. I just wish that this lot sat on a piece of ground that kind of followed along with that. I feel like when you zoom out, it looks kind of silly because it's just like this random cottage with like a big river running through it with all of these plants and stuff in like a square shape because the piece of land that this lot is on is just blank. Like there's almost nothing on it except for like some shrubs and grass patches here and there that it just looks so bizarre, but I mean, it's whatever. You can really just put this lot on anything that is nearly the same size. There you go. We're almost done with this part here. There was just so much to add, and I felt like it was just never enough. If it was up to, well, it was always up to me, but um, I could have probably just kept going. Like if I hadn't intended on posting this to the gallery for other people to play with and enjoy, I probably would have just kept going and added more and more and more bushes and flowers and just put them absolutely everywhere. But I think it turned out okay with the amount that winds up being here. Yeah, I went back and forth with how many of these plots to have outside too, which is why I started putting them down and then just jumped to when I had it all figured out. Because first I had them together without spaces, and then I had like rows of three, and I was just like, this looks too much like a giant muddy area. I need to break this up. I put some sprinklers in there to help water the plants, and because I like the way it looks. And then I'm just finishing out the pond and the creek right now. So I wanted to put a little bit more growth around it and then fill it with some things just because, the whole one side of it is completely outlined by plants. I wanted to bring that, towards the backyard too. And then add all the fun little ponds tools that we have now that we can add actual ponds and creeks and stuff. So exciting. I feel like I've been waiting for that for like how long has The Sims 4 been out now? Like 9 years or something ridiculous. I feel like I've been waiting for that this whole time just to build a pond that's not a pool that I can make like any shape I want that can have soft edges that like looks legit. And then just outlining everything with like a darker like dirt terrain tool just to give it a little bit more dimension and to make it look more realistic. And then going nuts with all the different like fireflies and the ducks, the swans. I put fireflies like out in the yard too, wherever there was a lot of plants, because I love, 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 love the way the fireflies look at night. I think it's so beautiful. And then here are all the finished, all the final photos of it. So I popped into live mode, whatever you want to call it, and just took a bunch of pictures. I love the way this turns out so much. I hope you enjoy it too. And if you do, please download it from the gallery and play it, enjoy it. Let me know how you feel about it. And if you like this build, you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Drop me a comment down below, like this video, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.